Well, Bev, as you indicated, this started last week when the Chancellor announced this new tax package, the largest tax package seen in 50 years, about £45 billion in tax cuts announced by the government. It was supposed to provide some sort of assurance in easing the cost of living for people here in the UK, but we've seen quite the opposite reaction. There's been quite a lot of volatility in the market since then. As you indicated, the value of the pound has collapsed. We've also seen the cost of debt has spiked, and a big fear is that the government borrowing could surge along with interest rates to compensate for this tax cut package. In response to that, we've seen quite an extraordinary statement today from the International Monetary Fund, effectively warning the government against implementing this policy, saying that it could create some real inequality and compromise fiscal policy here. The IMF warning that this would effectively increase inequality, and urging the UK government to develop a more targeted strategy to try and combat these cost of living pressures. Now, I want to put this into a little bit of context. If you think about the job of the IMF, not only looking around stabilising the global economy, but also there as a body that is often an early warning system in financial crisis. This gives you a bit of an idea of why this sort of a statement from the IMF is so serious, really harking towards a warning of financial instability in the UK.
Yes, and such an unusual step for an economy of this strength normally. Interestingly, the Bank of England has now stepped in to try and calm the situation. What have they done?
Well, Bev, I think this gives you an idea of how serious the situation is, because an intervention like this is certainly pretty unprecedented, actually. There have been commentators here that have said that we haven't even seen interventions like this in the global financial crisis. So today the Bank of England has announced that it will actually be buying back some government debt, buying back bonds to effectively put some order back into the market, create order again in the market, and to try and ease this volatility and this instability. It's effectively saying in a statement that it sees the real potential for financial instability. And it's put a bit of urgency around that, saying that it needs to take intervention today, immediately, to create order again. It hasn't actually said how much it will be buying back, how much of this long pre-dated UK government debt it will be buying back, which also indicates how serious it's taking the situation, because it says it'll be carried out to whatever scale is necessary, not putting a cap or a price on how many of those bonds it will be buying back.
Extraordinary. And you know, this new government of Liz Truss is barely a month old. How much pressure are they now under?
I'd say pretty big pressure. As I mentioned, this was meant to be the policy, one of the first major financial policies of this new government being led by Liz Truss, that was meant to provide some stability and also some answers for the people of the UK about this cost of living crisis and what was going to be done to try and ease the pressures of normal people in the UK. But instead, what we've seen is volatility in the market. Now we've seen the IMF come out with this quite extraordinary statement, a bit of a rebuke of this policy, and also the central bank, the Bank of England, stepping in, this quite extraordinary intervention that is not something that's been seen because of global market pressures, for example, but commentators have said that this is an example of the central bank stepping in to protect the UK effectively from UK policies of the UK government, which is a really big political statement. So I think it's clear that the new Prime Minister and her Chancellor will be under extraordinary pressure to explain to everyday people here why they made the decisions to announce this policy and whether or not this policy will stand given all of this criticism.
Yeah, these repercussions. Good to talk, Allyson. Thanks so much.